Hello, my name is Tom Stiles, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show number 114. Yeah, I got it indexed now, so I know what number it is. So I'll tear this off. 114. This is 114. Okay. So, all right. A couple weeks ago, maybe several weeks ago, one of my subscribers gave me a credit on Amazon to purchase a book and then do a review on my show. Hey, my hair is messed up. Oh well, you don't care. Here's the book. WRTH, the World Radio TV Handbook, a directory of global broadcasting. This is, the 2013 edition, brand new. Just came out about a month or two ago, or at least that's when I found out about it. So anyway, thanks to him, I got the book, and I've been reviewing it, and to say the least, there is a lot of information in it, and as you can see, I've marked some things of interest. These are just kind of top-level highlights, and I want to get through those. I don't know if I'll get through them in the time I'm trying to kind of allocate to myself, but we'll give it a try. Now, their rival book that used to be was Passport to World Band Radio. Okay, these two guys were running head and head, providing in general the same information. Well, unfortunately, about 2009, they went out of publication. They weren't keeping up with the times, and this guy was really providing a lot of information that he didn't provide. Now, one thing about these books, and I'm not reviewing this book anyway, is that it had, I would say half of the book was reviews on equipment, and that's why I used to buy these, for the reviews. That's why I buy these. This one has reviews of radios, but it's not as extensive as the other one. So that's the good thing, the one good thing about this one, and the one, if you want to call it, shortcoming of this one is its review of equipment. Now that's the only problem with this book. So we're going to try to get into this book. And like I say, I've highlighted what's contained in this book. Lots of stuff. Okay, as I said before, there's a section up front of reviews of receivers, new receivers. But there's not a lot of them. There's maybe half a dozen, maybe a half a dozen of new reviews of new radios. Fairly in-depth, but gosh, my hair keeps standing up. Oh well, you don't care. Okay, so that's the first section. The next section, and there's lots of tables in this book that the other one didn't have, and I'm really surprised. Even though they don't review too much, they do have a table here of HF receivers and some general characteristics about the receivers. The size, whether it's a big radio sits on your desk or it's just a little portable, what types of general functions it has, how much the retail cost is in US dollars and European dollars, and so it just kind of gives you general information of what kind of radios out there, and then you can go elsewhere to find out details, but it gives you the model number, so you can go Google that model number and get more reviews that they don't have. Okay, and then they've got some ads, some latest ads, and then they have one section here with about classic radios. Sorry, get my thing straight here. DSPs specifically. These were very expensive radios. So they got a couple of reviews of those. I'm not sure why, but anyway. And then they got a couple other features that are not too exciting to me. Now let's move along. Now, one thing they don't provide that this book used to provide is these shortwave listening charts. And so these charts are now on a CD. So it's not in the book anymore. I'm not sure why, but it's not. In this format, now, what did I do there? In this format, okay, with a kind of a graph, the same information is available in the book, but not in that format. Sorry? Yeah. Oh well, not a big deal. Then there's a good section about expected conditions for listening to HF broadcast for this year. Okay, and it's got a little table here that shows you the various frequencies, like 26 megahertz, 21 megahertz, 17, 15, 13, and so on down. Kind of groups them, and it tells you what percentage of the total band is used in those ranges, and it tells you the reception characteristics. For instance, 9 megahertz, it says it's good for daytime, for short and mid distances, all seasons. Evening, it's good for mid and long distances, all seasons. And it breaks each one of them down and tells you what's a good time to listen in that band. So that's kind of useful. In addition to that, it has over here most suitable frequencies for this year. And that's kind of based on what they expect the weather activity to be, the solar activity to be. And so these are kind of predictions. And it breaks it down by listening area. Since, for instance, I would look under North America East, because I live on the east coast of North America. And it gives you local times and what to listen to, what countries to listen to during like January, February, and November, December. Then breaks it down to March and April, September and October, and then May through August. So it's basically spring, summer, and winter. Okay, so that's kind of a neat chart. Now let's see what else I got marked. Now, something that I'm still studying is how to use this book. And here is a full page of how to use this book, how to read the listings. And it's down here, I don't know if you can see it very well, but it shows you a typical listing and what all these things mean in that listing. I mean, they give you all kinds of information. They give you, and it's listed by country, okay, and it gives you the population of the country. It gives you the principal language, what electricity is, whether it's 50 hertz or 60 hertz. I mean, just all kinds of things. Address, if you want to mail away for a card saying that, okay, you send them a card saying, I received this broadcast, and this was the content on this day and this time, and they will send you a card back saying, okay, you've been verified that you heard that. So that's called a QSL card. Something I used to do a lot when I was a kid. I don't do it anymore. And it was interesting to get this card back from, Europe, Germany, wherever. It's kind of cool. It lists, like I said, it lists an address. It also lists phone numbers. You can call them if you want to run up your phone bill. And it lists if they have an email address or a website. It lists that. Hours of transmission, power in kilowatts. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So that's the type of information that's in this bulk of this book. I mean, it's just overwhelming. Oh, here's a simple frequency allocation chart. I'm not too excited about that. I like the ones that show the whole spectrum in infinite detail, and it may take 10 pages to show you the whole spectrum. This one is everything in one little page, so not that good. It's okay. If you're just interested in shortwave listening, that's pretty good. Then they give you maps. Here's a map of Africa, and on the map they mark the city in which there is a shortwave transmitter. They also mark, which I didn't realize, pure stupidity on my part, that there are other places in the world besides the United States that broadcast continuous time, and those transmitters are marked on these maps. Okay, so that's the two things that they show on these maps. And there's, it's United States. Here's South America. They got they got all kinds of shortwave stations. Those are the major cities. Now they don't tell you what the station is specifically, but what you do is you look at get the city and say, okay, here's the middle of China. I can't pronounce any of these, but here's a city in China, and you can look up that city in the directory part, and it tells you all the details that I mentioned before. So, I mean, this book is just packed. I think it's about $35 with shipping from Amazon. About $35. Okay, then we get into what they call National Radio Directory. That's the stations that they're broadcasting for an audience within their nation, so to speak. And then there's another section after that is International Broadcaster, where they're broadcasting to the world, and they may have 5 or 6 languages they broadcast it, because they're broadcasting to the world, not just their nation. Okay, so anyway, this section, which is 2/3 of the book, 2/3 of the book here, is those listings of national radio stations by country. And the other thing is that I didn't realize that this not only provides information about frequency and shortwave broadcast, it also lists AM broadcast, down in the AM band, FM broadcast, and television. So it's got all that information in here. This one book. Okay, so I'm kind of moving along quickly here because I don't want to run over. Okay, next section is, as I mentioned, international radio stations, and it's quite a bit smaller. Then the next major section. And so what's cool is you can be turning your dial and you pick up a station, and you're like, what am I listening to? So if there's a country mentioned, you can look it up by country, or you can, later on I'll show you where they've got listings by frequency. Okay, we'll move right along here. Okay, which is next. Okay, the next section is listings by frequency. Okay, so you dialed in 9.334, and you're like, what am I listening to? It's coming in strong, kind of an interesting program. What am I listening to? So you come in here, and you look in this section, and it's the first part. It's long wave. You also have long wave in here. Long wave and medium wave. Okay, that's AM broadcast by region, such as this one region here is Europe, Africa, Near and Middle East. They're all grouped together. So you come in here and you say, okay, I'm listening to 657 on the AM, and it lists all the countries, which there are multiple, of course, that are broadcasting on that frequency on AM band. So like 657, there's Africa, there's Madrid, I mean, there's just infinite number. Iran, and it lists the transmitter power, and it lists the city. Now it's an abbreviation here, so there's a reference in the back to tell you what that abbreviation stands for. Like IRN is Iran. Okay, so that's listing by frequency. Like I say, it's by region. Here's the next region is East Asia and the Pacific. Okay. Goes on and on and on and on and on. I mean, just pages and pages of this stuff. I mean, you have no concept of how many transmitters there are. Now, the next section is shortwave stations of the world by frequency. Okay, so we can let me just pick one here. I'm listening. I pick up a station on 4.91 megahertz, and I look in here, and it says it's one of two possible countries, cities. One's in India and one's in Australia. So again, tune in the dial, look in here, look at the frequency, you know what you're listening to. And then when you go to that, when you know what you're listening to, you can go to the page back here that has all the details of that station, and you can find out, you know, what their web address is, if they have a website, what their email address. You can send them an email address. Say, I heard your station. Please send me some recognition that I heard your station and reported that I heard it. It's cool. It makes it a lot easier than it used to be years ago. Years ago, you have to. Years ago, when I did QSL listening, when I used to request a QSL card, you'd have to listen until you heard the call signs, and then they would tell you sometime in the course of a program, usually like once an hour, they would give you their mailing address. So you had to wait and wait and wait and wait to get that mailing address. So there wasn't any speed, where this would, you could kind of speed things up a little bit. Maybe that's cheating, maybe it's not. I don't know. So let's go to the next section. The next section is, again by frequency, international broadcast in English, French, German, Portuguese, and Spain by frequency. So you can say, okay, I can only understand my native language, which happens to be English. So you can go to the section under English and go through that, look for the frequency you just heard, and bingo, you're there. Okay, now we're getting through the book, and I'm going to make it under 20 minutes. I may not be doing this book justice because I'm kind of hurrying, but I'm trying to give you some oversight. Okay, another thing I didn't realize this book had is DRM International Broadcast. Now that's supposedly digital radio. It's been about 10 years since the idea came about of having digital radio so that you can get a higher quality radio in HF bands, for instance. And you need a special radio that could decode that signal. Didn't really catch on because, number one, the radios were kind of expensive because they were brand new, and number two, when you listen to shortwave, you're not really interested in high quality. Otherwise, you'd be listening to FM. But it was a concept. They thought it was going to work out. Unfortunately, it didn't. But there's still stations broadcasting in DRM, and you can still buy radios that have DRM capability. Okay. Now, the last section is a subsection about television reception. Now, there are people, and I've seen them on YouTube, that try to receive long-distance television transmissions, and they might get the station from, who knows, 1,000 to 8,000 miles away. Conditions are just right. In here they have a listing of the stations, And so if you happen to get one of those stations, you can kind of figure out, what is it? What is it? Maybe, it's all in some foreign language and you have no idea. So they list those. They list, what frequency they're on. And they list, same as before, detailed information about the broadcaster, where he's at, all that good stuff. So we're into television DXing, it's called, long distance listening. There's a section in here for that. Amazing, just totally amazing. Okay, and the last section is a reference section, which has a country index. So those abbreviations that you see in the other listings, you can look them up here. It also tells you, it's an index of, like for instance, I just pick one out here, Finland. It tells you what page in this book that the information about Finland is on, either national or international stations in Finland. Does Finland have? Yes, Finland has both, international and national. And it also tells you what page the TV information is on, 624. This thing has 672 pages for $35. Okay, be sure to go to my Amazon store. I'm going to purchase one of these. Sorry. Okay, then it has, like I say, it has the abbreviations of the countries, so you know what the abbreviations mean. Okay, here's another thing. Here is a listing of the transmitter sites by location in Latin long, longitude and latitude. So you can track it on Google Maps. That's kind of cool. And then it has a section on clubs for DXers and international listeners. So these are clubs that you can join. You can write to them. It's got their address, all kinds of information throughout the world. Again, this is for the whole world. And then there's a section on selected internet sources for DXers and radio listeners. So it gives you, by, let's just pick one here. The DX Asia website. Another one is their online radios listed. I did a show about online radios where you can use your computer, connect to the internet, and connect to somebody's radio and listen to their radio via your computer. No, watch this show, you'll understand what I'm saying. Okay, and that's it. So I made it 23 minutes. It's going to take 8 hours to upload this. Anyway, this is the World Radio TV Handbook 2013 edition, which is available on Amazon. And I think I already have it on my Amazon store, but I'll put it on the first page of my Amazon store so it's easy to find. If you have any comments about this book, if you have any corrections, please leave a comment. Correct me. I went through this pretty fast. There's a lot of information. I've been studying this for a week. There's a lot of information in this book. So if you have any corrections, please leave me a comment. Send me an email. If you enjoyed this review or overview, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Guess what? I'm within, I think, 15 of 500 subscribers. And what I'm going to do is use that event when I get my 500 subscribers to do a giveaway. Yeah, a giveaway. Something that I purchased from my credits from Amazon store, from your purchases, my commission, and did a review, and now I'm going to give it back to someone who subscribes, who listens to, views this show. Is that cool or not? Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.